Following Wolves this season has been anything but dull, and going into the game at the weekend away to Chelsea, I was a little bit nervous after the way the Man United game went, that Wolves could have conceded some similar goals to a Chelsea team that definitely have some similar types of talents to the ones that Man United brought to the party last time out, winning 4-3. But seeing Wolves pick up the result in this game, winning 4-2, was probably the highlight of my weekend. Celtic had a pretty bad result on Saturday, and watching this game come in, see Cunha running the show, see Gary O'Neill kind of masterclass it from the touchline as well, really outshining his opposite number, as it were. This was a fantastic 3 points for Wolves, and maybe there's a few karma points cashed in this game, but nonetheless, this game really sets them up now to build on the run that they were going on before the Man United result and really start to climb the table very, very quickly. At any point in the video today, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel. We're just about 8,000 subscribers, but we're pushing for 10,000, so if we can get there with your support, that would be fantastic. Get into the comment section on this one and let me know, how high can Wolves finish in the Prem this season? And after this Chelsea game, does it say more about Wolves or more about Chelsea perhaps? And let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, there was 3 primary changes to the Wolves team from the starting 11 anyway that played Man United, and Joao Gomes coming in here alongside Sorare and Nouri coming back in from the beginning made a huge difference to the whole dimension of the tactics that Gary O'Neill is deploying here with the back 3, because as we know, Dawson's more the kind of sweeper, and depending on the state of play or the opposition, either Kilman kind of takes a wee step up with the other one kind of pairing into a back 2 as it were, or sometimes it'll be Totti, and sometimes Kilman will kind of dive in back here as well. So they've got a lovely kind of back 3 tandem, but Man United managed to get into these zones here and managed to cut them open quite often with 1-2s, giving goes, and then even drop backs from running across the line for like Rashford's goal, if you think about that. But the addition of Joao Gomes in here, now Mario Lemina did a pretty, he was decent against Man United. He was good in the Chelsea game as well, don't get me wrong. But Joao Gomes made such a huge difference, and just giving that back 3 shield, an extra bit of muscle in there, to make sure that really Chelsea didn't get great quality time on the ball. I know they got some shots away, made some big chances in this game. The goals they did score were real, if you think about the first one, it was a real slide rule pass in between these lines here to get a one-on-one inside the box and get it finished. And it's really hard to create those chances. They don't come 10 a penny. And Chelsea did try lots of different ways of maybe putting the ball into the box here to make the back 3 drop into this kind of zone here, trying to buy the space between the back 3 and the midfield, more really in the top end of the 18-yard box and just outside it, a lot deeper than Man United tried to do it. So Chelsea were putting big balls in here to make or long balls over the tops and stuff like that as well, to get the back 3 deep. And that's where some of their chances came, was from cutbacks from these kind of positions here, or 1-2 giving goes from Sterling and Palmer and the likes. And the way that the rest of this defence is built with Nouri, Semedo, and with the composition of the front 3 and their obvious roles, their obvious buy into the strategy and the tactics as well, is Wolves can attack, they can get front to back so quickly with their most dangerous players when the opposition are a bit overcommitted, perhaps maybe a bit stretched, going for an attack. They've been building up possession. Perhaps Wolves have maybe been pressing them and allowing them possession in certain areas so they can get into a kind of false position of strength, as it were. And very quickly, if it's on the left-hand side with Nouri or on the right-hand side with Semedo, they know who the main options are to play into. And Neto being the arrowhead here is definitely going to catch a lot of opposition off, because like the likes of, in this game, it was Disasi and Thiago Silva for the most part, but any Premier League centre-backs, if you think about it, the last thing lots of them want to be doing is, been on their back heels, balls been put into channels, and they're having to run into uncomfortable zones with a very dangerous player who has support on the counter-attack as well. So having Semedo up here as the arrowhead, I find very, very clever. Last week we seen it was Bellegarde. It was a bit more because of Man United and how they set up with Doyle in midfield. It was just, not as optimal as this, quite clearly, because Neto on that front running playmaker role, with the support he's got, you've seen the goals that Wolves were able to get. Now, the first 2 goals, there's some deflections in there, and they put big smiles on my face, because Wolves are due a little bit of karma luck, so those little deflections there for me, just cashing those karma points out of the bank. And it's a real testament to Wolves' endeavour throughout the season. It wasn't a great January window for them either. They didn't really make any additions, if any, that are really going to make a difference to the starting 11 or even the main 14 or 15 players that are participating. As far as I can see, I might be forgetting someone obvious. I'm sorry if I am. But it's not just Neto. Sarabia's just as capable of this, and obviously man of the match on the day, hat-trick hero Matheus Cunha was running the show down the left-hand side, and he had the Chelsea defenders on tenterhooks. They really didn't know what to do with with him. Was he coming inside? Was he passing? Was he shooting? Would he play the overlap from Nouri? Wolves attack and counter-attack so quickly and so accurately that, honestly, it's very hard to defend against. It doesn't matter how good the defence is. If you're going to be committing so many players higher up the pitch and you lose possession, these players are so well drilled and so unselfish is the only word for it, but it's a real sense of the team that they are, because at the Premier League level, so many of these players are on big money, big transfer fees and all the rest of it, agents, and new contracts are getting negotiated. So many of them want to take the goals, so many of them want to be the man that wins the game and all the rest of it. But when Wolves are attacking, you get the real sense of they're going to find the back of the net here by any means necessary. So a lot of fun to watch. Really good value for their goals and everything else. And I find that Joao Gomes and Lamina in here are just really... And I know Chelsea are in a real bad way at the moment. I don't think that Pochettino's getting a good song out of them. And they're definitely not the apex kind of opposition. But away to Stamford Bridge is always a huge fixture. They are world-class players. There's no two ways about it. They did score 2. They could have scored more. Craig Dawson and Max Kilman getting credited with clearances off the lines and last man tackles. Both clearances off the line, in fact. I thought there was a wee bit of a last man tackle from Kilman right at the very end to stop it becoming 4-3 along with Jose Sa. But Joao Gomes running the show, 75 out of 100. Nothing get past him. He won 4 tackles in this game, which is huge, as well as winning 7 duels, 2 interceptions, and a further 2 possession wins from there. Not too much attacking presence, but as soon as guys like him and Lamina are winning it, straight away they're playing it to the dangerous players and they're getting into the final third and making the difference. And over the last 15 games in the Premier League now, Matheus Cunha now sits 4th for goals scored. But if we actually look at actual production, goals and assists here, he's on 13 alongside Ollie Watkins and Mo Salah, all joint first on 13 goal contributions over the last 15 games. Is incredible numbers, but it's not just that. For forwards in the Premier League, he currently ranks 4th in the last 15 games for possession won, 3rd for duels won, which is attacking as well as a defensive statistic. Duels lost, he is 2nd, but quite a considerable distance behind number 1, it must be said. Interceptions with 11 in the last 15 games puts him joint 3rd. Top 5 for passes into the opposition, like maybe playing for a Sorare or a Pedro Neto on the counter-attack. Shots on target, he is 2nd. You know, early on in this kind of run, he has missed a few chances, it must be said, but he's getting a lot of his shots on target. Big chances created for him and his teammates. 5 puts him in the top reckoning there amongst the league in the last 15. Only 3 big chances missed in the last 15, so maybe not as wasteful over this form as maybe you'd think. Probably my favourite part of this game is when Wolves are winning 3-1 and they're very much dominating the game, looking to go on and win it even further. Chelsea not showing too much in the way of like attacking invention. Gary O'Neill, who has to be in the reckoning for Manager of the Year, I don't know if he would actually win it, but definitely should be shortlisted all the same, makes an ingenious double sub here, but he takes off Pedro Neto for Bellegarde, and then he brings off Sarabia for Doyle, and we see Cunha go out into the kind of left midfield area with Nouri playing in the Pedro Neto role for, I think Nouri came off in the 87th minute. So we're talking about 15 minutes of the match here. Winning 3-1, Chelsea are trying to attack, and they put their left back up front to do the old Pedro Neto running. So, Wolves stayed really dogmatic to the system. And, Cunha also wasn't fancied to do the arrowhead role here ahead of Bellegarde and Doyle. Nouri's got some real undeniable pace, along with Semedo and Pedro Neto. So I think if you don't have Pedro Neto, then maybe it's one of these guys that are favoured in the more attacking positions here to just give you that undeniable pace, in this case against Thiago Silva and Disasi, or, in the future, whoever else might be in the league. But Nouri for 15 minutes up here doing the attacking arrowhead playmaker role was still very effective. And along with Cunha, Cunha dropping a little bit deeper actually became a lot more dangerous, because it meant Chelsea knew as soon as he got on the ball here, there wasn't going to be too much between him and the goal. He was already on 2. And he was on fire. He was beating everyone. He was making good decisions and build-up play. Bellegarde and Doyle brought, good stuff to the party, respectively. And I just thought when I seen that, Nouri playing up front, I thought, wow, that is just genius. And it worked, man. It was absolutely fantastic. And then towards the game, obviously, Nouri comes off. I think, Cunha ends up being the more attacking player, with Bueno coming on. And then there's another defensive substitution as well. And I say right at the end, Chelsea do have a chance to make it 4-3, maybe make the end of the game a little bit uncomfortable, let's say, but very good defensive work at the end. And really, this game, like every other Wolves match I've watched, has been very entertaining, very good to watch. And you can clearly see that the management team, Gary O'Neill and everyone else he's got working there, are really in tune with the team. And the team are really bought in to the strategy and how they're going to win matches. And all their best attributes are really getting highlighted in the best way at the moment. They're in Fantastic form. Oh, the form over the last 15 games in the Premier League puts Wolves in its 6th, which is fantastic. And with Wolves only 4 points off of West Ham at this point in the season, which 7th is where you start to think about European qualification, etc. With this type of fixture list, every other team above them, with the exception of Tottenham, does have European football to contend with, you know, in the coming kind of weeks and months. There's a little cup run potential here for Wolves as well, and I think at this stage, if you can beat Brighton, you're definitely in the deep end of the competition. You can maybe dream of trips to Wembley. But outside of that, there's no easy game in the Premier League, but quite quickly, you know, Brentford, there's points to be gotten there, especially at Molineux, especially against Sheffield. And then, like, yeah, the fixture list, there's no big build-up here of top teams. I think Wolves have got high value 3 points here with Chelsea, them being traditionally a more kind of top team. And then as you can see here over maybe the next 8 or 9 fixtures, there's not a big build-up of teams they should be overly worried about. So I think Wolves can start collecting a lot of points very quickly. And it's currently 4 points between them and West Ham. I think by the time that Wolves come to play, West Ham, beginning of April, I beg your pardon, then it could be a much different position that both teams find themselves in. And Wolves might actually be one of the stories of the second half of the season all of a sudden, because this team is so well drilled. They're all very good and like very unlucky against Man United and in fantastic form at the moment. I think Wolves can probably break into the European spots on the league table with the current form and the quality of players that they have at their disposal. Maybe there's a wee cup run in it for them as well. Brighton have other fish to fry as well with the league and Europa League or whatever it is that they're in. So yeah, maybe that could be one for Wolves as well. We run in the cup. But yeah, league position, I think that they could go really high this season for sure. If they just keep their heads down like they have been, stick to one game at a time, get the job done, stick to the strategy, the team before the individual, which they clearly seem to be doing, then I can see them picking points up at the same pace they have been doing. Currently 6th in the form table, so very impressive going. I look forward to catching the comment section on this one. On screen there now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.